Welcome back, everybody. Okay, this is part 2 of the 1926 apron tutorial. I hope y'all are as excited about this as I am. I plan to do more and more different tutorials other than like sewing aprons. I've had a lot of requests for like, we're going to do dolls and pin cushions and all kinds of fun stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and get in to this one. So I've got my machine out and I've got like an extra light set up. I hope y'all can like see what I'm doing. I can move the camera closer. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started on this apron. And remember, this pattern, a copy of this pattern is going to be available until September 1st, 2019. So if you want to order one, just send me an email, and my email address will be in the description box below this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I'm so glad y'all are here this morning. I hope y'all have had your coffee. I had 2 cups, where they're like little cups. Because I have to drink like half and half because I can't like stand all that caffeine anymore. It makes my heart race. And I just hate that because I do love my coffee and my sweet tea. You know how us Southerners are. Okay, so enough about coffee. We are going to start out here. Let me turn this camera around so you can see. We are going to start with the skirt piece, and yours will be labeled skirt. Be sure you cut your notches out on your pattern like this because they're going to help you line up your pieces. Okay, got that? Okay, so we're going to unpin our skirt pattern paper from the skirt quickly. And so because it was cut on the fold, you will have a big square of fabric like this. And this is going to be your apron skirt. Isn't that cute? I love this like little flower pattern. Okay, so I've got my like little notches cut out. All right, so lay that piece over to the side and get your apron front piece. It looks like this. Again, it was cut on the fold. So when you unpin, be sure and cut your notches out. It's going to help you line up your pieces. Unpin your paper pattern. And let's open it up and see what we have. And you should have an apron front piece that looks like this. See, that's like the little neck and where the straps are going to go. And this little round area here is where it's going to fit onto the front of your pattern. Let me set my machine over to the side. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay this apron front piece out flat. You are going to grab your skirt piece and on the end of your skirt piece and where this like little tab is on your apron front, there are 2 notches, and you're going to line those up. That's going to be on your left hand side, and you're going to pin and pin with your pins going vertically like this. Pin. Okay, now go over to the other side and match up the notches on the right side, and match up your notches. Put the edges of the fabric together and match up your notch, and put a pin in vertically like this. Okay. Now, okay, you've got this little tab sticking. Okay. I have pinned these notches on the apron front and apron skirt on the right side together, and I have pinned the notch on the apron skirt and the apron front on the left side. Now you'll notice you've got all this extra fabric on the skirt part, which is like the wrong side should be up, and on the bottom part, the wrong side of the apron front should be down. So you've got right sides together. You've got the right sides together. Okay, so now in the front, it has, if you look here on the illustration, it has a little V area, center front. And if you look over each pocket on the right and left, you will see like some little lines that indicate gathering. That's why we have like extra. So I matched up my notches, center front of the apron front and the apron skirt. Okay, I matched those notches up. And, well, that one's like coming undone. Here, let me stick another pin in there. Okay, so then you're going to see, let me stick this pin in here. You're going to see you've got like some extra fabric over here on this side. It's not matching up. It's like loose and open. And then on the other side, the same scenario. Okay, that means that we're going to put some gathers in this loose area. So, and when we gather it up, we want to gather this part up so that it meets this part. Okay, when we gather it up, it's going to meet, and we got to have this like little point. You can't cut that little point off. You've got to like have that little point, so it just like goes there basically. You just pull it down until it matches the edge of the apron front. That little point. That's just a little thing. So I'm going to show you now how to gather this up so that it will fit on this edge. Okay? It's not hard, I promise. Hang with me. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a needle and thread. And you want to thread your needle, double your thread, and knot it off at the end. Okay, so your thread is knotted. Now, where this like little point on the apron skirt is, you want to start your gathering stitch there. And I want you to start about 1/4 inch from the edge of the fabric. And so to do this, you stick your needle in and then come back up through. It needs to be a small stitch, just about like that. Pull it through so your knot is sticking up. Okay, now you do that again all the way across the fabric. You just go in and up, then back down and up and back down and up and back down. It's called a running stitch, and back down and up. And every single time you go up and down, it doesn't need to be the perfect, spaced perfectly, is what I'm trying to say. So you just go in and out, in and out, in and out, until you get to the next pin. Okay, so you just go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, with your like little running stitch. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm going to get there here in a minute. On this part, I will try to do that like fast forward on the editing. I'm not real great with my video editing yet, but I'm getting better. Okay, so after you get to your running stitch all the way to the edge, that's probably about, you have about, I think, 10 inches of gap. Okay, so once you've got your running stitch done, and you've still got your needle threaded, and here's your thread tail. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, you know, just kind of like, you've got your like little gathers in there. You're going to want to match it up to the edge of your fabric and make sure that it will fit, you know, from notch to notch. Okay, and don't worry about these gathers being uneven or anything like that. Once you've got it gathered so that it will fit perfectly along that edge, you can pin it if you want to, so you can be sure. I'll just go ahead and do that. I'll just go ahead and pin this. Pull those gathers up a little bit. Okay, I'll pin it all along here just to make sure it's like going to match up. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Spread my gathers out like a little bit. Okay, so I've got like a little bit extra, so I need to pull them up. So you just pull your string until your fabric matches up there, notch to notch, perfectly, and pin it. After you've done that, your fabric is gathered, so you like notch your thread so that it doesn't, your gathers don't come out. So you just go in the fabric like that. When you get to a loop, put your needle in, pull it tight, do that again, and it will be, your thread will be knotted. And your gathers will hold because you've got a knot where we started over here at the beginning. Be sure to make your knot big enough so it doesn't pull through. Okay, clip your thread and you've got your fabric gathered. Okay, remove all the pins holding your gathers. Okay, now we're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. I've got my little gathers in there. See, they'll like, you can space them back and forth. They're loose on there. Okay, now we're going to do exactly the same thing on the opposite side. So go ahead and thread your needle and we'll get started. Okay, let me caution you, do not go through both pieces of fabric. You're only going to go through the top piece, which is the apron skirt. Okay, almost like made a mistake and went through both pieces. So I just wanted, since I made that mistake, it would be easy for you guys too. So I just wanted to caution you to make sure you're gathering only the apron skirt piece. Okay, now I just want to remind you, when you're gathering this right side of the skirt, to gather the fabric all the way up to this point piece. Okay, go all the way to the point piece. Alrighty, and then when you get there, you are gonna knot off your thread. So you make a loop, you go inside the loop with the needle, pull, do it again, you go down and up with the needle, you make a loop and you stick your needle back through that and you make a knot. Clip your thread. Okay, now, so if you've got your skirt gathered on the right side and this left side, pat yourself on the back and go get you a cup of coffee or take a break and then come back and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, we're back after break and we are going to unpin our skirt from our apron skirt from the apron top. Okay, so go ahead and unpin all those pins that you put in before. Now, this apron has, okay, I missed a pin. This apron has trim. If you'll see that bias trim around all of the edges. So, what we're going to do next is we're going to apply the binding to the edge. So there's no hemming. You just apply the bias tape all the way around the edge of the skirt. And we've got our little gathers in, which is what we had to do first. put our gathers in our skirt before we put the binding on. And the bias tape will hold the little gathers, and it will completely edge the apron. Can you guys see that? I'm going to make this illustration, of course, a lot larger on the pattern that you will be buying. Okay, let's talk about bias tape. Look at this real cute thing. It's got like the original like label on it. And this is like cotton, so but I love that little girl's. Can y'all see? Get underneath the light, that little girl's picture. So you're gonna need, this one says like 4 yards. I like buy all of this vintage bias tape that I can find, even if it's from like the 60s and 70s, because I just like vintage stuff better than new. I mean, I'm always gonna buy vintage versus new. That's just the way I roll. But anyway, so you're gonna need some of this 1/4 inch bias tape that's already made. Now, if you'd like for me to do a video on how to make your own bias tape, I'd be glad to do that. It's not hard at all, just a little bit time consuming. So I've got these like packages of an off-white. So I'm going to use these because this is what I've got in my stash, and I've got enough of. I wanted to use pink, but I didn't have enough of the pink. So anyways, we are going to, I'm not going to use this one because it's still got the label on it. I want to keep that one. But anyway, so we're going to like start the bias tape part of this. So like I said, when you're at estate sales and yard sales and they've got antique sewing supplies or any kind of like older sewing supplies, go ahead and, you know, pick those up and get you a little tote or a box or something, because once you make a couple of these aprons, y'all are really gonna enjoy it. I mean, yes, it's like a little time consuming, but after you've got a couple of aprons under your belt, after you've made a couple, it's really like fun and relaxing, and I love it. And at the end of the day, you've got like a really, really sweet, pretty apron to wear. And I'm telling you, if you will like start to wear them, you know, around the house, or when you're doing your gardening, or you're baking for Christmas, or for your child's birthday, and you put on your pretty apron, it just makes you feel so special. I promise. Try it. Okay, so we're going to, let me close up my little cabinet here with my bias tape. Okay, so the bias tape comes like this. It's got 2 folded edges. And because this piece was cut on the bias, it's got some stretch and give to it. You guys probably already know that, but, you know, I'll just like go ahead and like tell you that. Okay, so you've got your skirt top. Go to the top of your skirt, and it's gathered on both sides. Okay, so we're going to add our bias tape to the skirt. And when you add this bias tape, it's going to hold your little gathers that you made down. So you just want to kind of space it out a little bit. They don't have to be perfect. Just space your gathers out, and then we're going to pin our bias tape to the edge. Now, I did this wrong for like a lot of years, so I'm going to show you girls how to do it right. Okay, so open the edge of your bias tape up. This one got like a little wrinkled on the edge, but that's okay. It'll still work. Okay? And line up the edges of the bias tape and your fabric. And then pin pin your pins vertically like this. Go in one side and up the other. And the tip of your pin should cross over that unfolded edge of your bias tape. Now, do that all the way down. Put your pins about 1 inch apart. Pin like through your pleats when you get to that pleated edge. Pin through there and come up on the other side, okay? Do that all the way across, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, now I'm almost to the edge, the left edge of the apron. And I was just going to tell you, remember that little point that it has on the apron? Okay, so when you, with your bias tape, when you get to that little point, you just take a pin, and then because you're going to kind of turn a curve right there. And so you just turn it gently. You're going to lose a tiny little bitty triangle bit of that point, but that's okay. Just push the bias tape up to where it matches this edge, and then just remember, space your gathers out like a little bit. Don't have them like bunched up in one spot. They don't have to be perfectly spaced, but just make sure you don't have any bunches of gathers, and then continue pinning until you get to the edge of your apron edge. Okay, remember those little notches that were right in the center? Okay, what you're going to need to do, because this bias tape is going to cover up those notches, you need to turn it onto the back side, and with your pencil, you need to go down about 1/4 of an inch. Just go down almost a 1/2 inch below that notch, and just put like a little dot with a pencil so that you'll know where those notches are, and you can match them up with your apron top after we finish putting this bias tape on, okay? Just mark those with like a little dot so you'll know where they were. And so you want to get all the way to the edge of your apron with your bias tape, pinning edge to edge. See, I've got like a little bunch of gathers right there, so I'm going to space them out. And pin, pin, pin. And then we are going to attach this bias tape to the skirt.